welcome to another episode of the Inner Edison Podcast. I'm your host, Ed Parcaut. Today I sit down with Adam Torres, a podcasting powerhouse with over 6,000 interviews under his belt. We're going to dive into the realities of podcasting, sharing tips on consistency, production hacks, and building an audience. Whether you're a seasoned podcaster or just getting started, you'll find plenty of inspiration and practical advice on this episode. Adam Torres, thank you so much for coming on the Inner Edison Podcast. I appreciate you being here today.
Hey, Ed, man, happy to be here. Inner Edison, let's get it going.
All right. First, I want to talk about, not everybody's going to know you, but I read some of your bio. You've actually had 6,000 plus interviews.
Yeah, it's a trip, Ed. I mean, it wasn't by plan or design, but 9 years later, over 6,000 interviews in. And this year alone, I'll do between 1,500 and 2,000 this year. Oh, that's work, man. We work over here.
It's like, all right. So you said 1,500 for the year. So let's just make it easy. That's 100 a month.
Easily. Yeah. I'll do, I do a lot of, I travel a lot and I cover conferences. So just for some context, I might do 20 in a day, and covering a conference and starting at 8 a.m. and ending at 6, 7, 8 p.m. So depending on the conference. So yeah, we get it done, but that's just for context. But average week, 50, average week, just depends.
Wow. Everybody's thought I was doing a lot with 13 a week.
That's a ton. First off, this is what I do this full time all day, every day. So that's you know what I mean?
So how do you do it? So for most people, people think about starting a podcast. I try to explain to them, remember, it's a lot of work. I came up with the 10-23 rule of podcasting. Steve Sims, who passed away 2 weeks ago, he had me talking. We were talking about it, and I came up with the 10-23 of podcasting, which means pretty much most people quit before the 10th episode.
Wow.
Segment is they quit before the 23rd episode. So if you can get to the 23rd episode and on, you're going to do really well. But most people start a podcast and they stop doing it because they realize, okay, it's not only the recording, but then someone's got to edit it. Then somebody's got to do the opener and close. Somebody's got to cut it up. Somebody's got to do the video. Somebody's got to put it on social media, all that fun stuff. And then they say, like, that's a lot of work. And if they hire somebody to do it, it can be costly. And so they don't understand the whole cost involved. So I try to explain to people, if you're going to do it, great. But just understand there's costs involved, or you're going to have to do it yourself.
I agree. Like when I think about the first episode, Ed, in the beginning, so I'll give you a quick one. For me, it was just a hobby. It was just for fun. I had another business that I ran. I was in finance for almost 14 years. So I still had my financial advisory practice. And this was kind of just like a fun little side thing. I won't even say side hustle because I didn't know if there was any potential to monetize. And in the early days, what I would do is, I'm not even kidding you, I had 2 different headsets on. I had one that I was doing the interview, and the other one I had like a little earbud in and I was listening to and editing while I was doing the other interview. These are obviously audio only podcasts at this time, no video, but It was just like, I only had so much time to do it. So I was like, well, let me try and edit while I'm doing an interview. So I just like to say, if somebody wants to start a show, you want to get it done. Like if your heart's in the game, like you'll figure it out. Like you can put out episodes, and nobody should be doing, unless that's your goal and that's your business. You shouldn't be thinking about anywhere near what anybody else is doing or their numbers or quantity of episodes. That doesn't matter to me. I'm impressed by the person that can do 1 episode per week consistently for years. That's impressive to me.
Yeah, so I do it daily now.
Wow, that's a lot.
I clarify daily because people, Saturday, Sunday, no, that's not daily to me. Monday through Friday, and that's
congrats, a live. Ed, by the way, not that you need it from me, but man, congrats. That's a really hard thing to do. What you're pulling off.
Well, the thing about it was, I was interviewing a guy who does 60 a month at the time, and he monetized them and is making a killing off of it. And it was because of the industry he was in. They go to trade shows, and at the time he was trying to get people on podcasts right before the pandemic, and they're like, "Yeah, we're doing podcasts. That's just ridiculous." And then pandemic hit, and they're like, start calling him up. What was this whole thing about podcasting? And he started, and then so he was bringing in some pretty good coin from it. I won't say I don't know what he puts on his tax.
Sure.
But it just, and he was like, the advice I would give somebody today is do a daily podcast because it gets put, you not monetized, but you get up there faster. There's hardly anybody doing daily podcasts. So we're in the top 1% of the daily podcasts right now. Just because, plus you get more out there, more episodes, builds it faster. I interviewed another guy who's pulling down 1.5 million a month in in downloads, and he built it on a history thing, and it's not even, he doesn't interview anybody, he just talks about the history thing and puts it up there, and he has thousands of them done, so he'll redo one and just quickly do it, and nobody remembers that he had done it already before. And he's making some good, 1.5 million downloads, he's making some good money.
That's amazing. That's an amazing story.
He did a daily to do that. And that's for most people if you want to build something, but it's a lot of work to do it daily. And I finished the show. I freaking go do it real quick because I want it up now. I don't, if you use VA or somebody else, it's going to take possibly 8 to 12 to 24 hours before that would be posted. I want it done when we're done.
That's speed is important. And in the early days, what was interesting about that in the early days, so this is, going back quite a few years, that was our turnaround.
What's that?
9 years ago, 8 years ago, 9 years ago, around that time.
2011, 10?
Roughly. That might have been our first show. And so what was interesting is I didn't know. You don't know what you don't know. So we would post them the same day, sometimes a couple hours after. So my team we didn't have the other things that we have going on now. So that's what we were focused on primarily. And we get comments like when we posted on social media, like, what? I just now did the interview with this guy like 3 hours ago. Like, this is impossible, because nobody had ever seen it at that time, right? Because these other softwares that are out now to put things out faster, to my knowledge, didn't exist. If they did exist, I didn't know about them. So we were doing it very manually in terms of the editing and posting and all of that part of it. And speed does matter.
What software are you talking about that you can do it faster these days?
Oh, I don't know.
We just threw it out there. So I thought maybe there was something I don't know.
I do want to answer your question though. So during the pandemic, because it's far outgrown myself. So I just, so the audience can understand the importance of launching their show and what it can turn into. So in the early days, again, it was just me. But speaking of the pandemic, so the other gentleman you mentioned, who his business kind of grew on that side. Well, on our side, I was doing a lot of conferences and other things as well. And that was a big part of our profit centers. But when all of them was closed up, people started asking us, could we help them launch shows? So we had bench time, we had the production crew, we had all of that on the back end, and we had super tight processes. Because just to put it in perspective, my average week back then, now don't do quite as many, but my average week was like 70 plus interviews, and my record's over 90 interviews in a week. So I mean, we are really like we were going at back then. Now I'm a part-timer at 50 is what I tell people. But looking at those early days, when the pandemic came, then we started shifting resources, and now we've launched over 250 shows. So the only reason I don't know the exact answer to your question is because we use them all. Like whatever, we have clients, we got legacy clients, we got people that are on Riverside, on StreamYard, we got people using Zoom, we got everything. Like in those hundreds of clients that we work with, that we produce for now, where I personally, it's outgrown me. Like the team and Matt Cook, the director of the podcast agency, these guys are all like they're in it in the weeds on production. On my end, I stick with what I do, which is asking questions. And this year, I just started guesting, actually, Ed. So this is my first year guesting. So I'm pretty excited about it. And it's been a lot of fun to network and meet other podcasters. It's been a blast.
The problem I find with other podcasters on other people's podcasts is if they're not good at podcasting, you try to help them. And, and it's because I run into it all the time. You're on other people's podcasts and you're like, okay, what are we doing here?
Ed, man, I can't, no offense, I can't relate to you on that one because I started as the world's worst podcaster. I mean, okay, let me give you the worst. I was so scared in the beginning, I didn't even use my real name. Like, let me give you another one. I was so scared at the beginning. I did over 1,500 interviews before I could turn a camera on and remember my name, like when I was doing an intro. So like when you talk about like bad, like, so when I meet somebody new or they're just starting there, even if they're on the newer episodes, I'm like, come on, man, let's have some fun. Like, I don't know. I feel like if I could make it through, man, who knows? Like the other people can too. So on my end, I'm just like, I'm having fun with it. I don't know. It's a privilege.
Yeah, it's like I started on radio in 2018.
Oh, so you're a professional, and then you know how to do this business.
Well, I had a producer at the time and taught me how to do certain things and say certain things. Like, you never say listeners. You always talk to you. You never say listeners, because if you talk to a listener, they're thinking you're talking to the person next to them, not themselves. But if you talk to them as you, then they're like, oh, he's talking to me. So you always want to say you or that type of thing instead of because I didn't understand that. My producer would yell in my ear constantly, and then he finally explained it to me. I was like, okay, I get it now.
I get it now too. Now you just taught me. Thank you, Ed, because I do say that. I didn't know.
No, because I'm like, they're actively listening, so wouldn't they be listeners?
Just say you.
Well, you just say, and thank you for being here. I appreciate listening to us today. Those kind of things, because that's important. It does connect to the person who's listening to this at the time that you're trying to connect with.
Yeah.
Right. But I was horrible at my first year out. I won't even listen to those shows, but it was live. I didn't have a choice, and being live is a little different than just doing a podcast and re-editing. And I don't edit out ahs and yous and all those things. I want it. This is it. If you're watching Joe Rogan, they don't take it out. They leave it on the YouTube. You get everything. We got technical issues. Let me deal with this. They don't take anything out, and that's how it should be. I was on somebody's podcast and I saw my head do this. I'm like, what do you take out?
Yeah. I think that, and I have a theory here, and I'm not saying I'm right or wrong or whatever, but my theory is those imperfections, like I even add them in. And the reason is because I'm like, especially as we go further and further into AI and all these other things, like I feel like it adds a human element. So I'll add some I'll add a stutter. Like I consciously do it. I can speak more clearly than I could, than I do sometimes on my show, but I do it on purpose. I like it. I feel like it adds to it. I said like adds cadence. I'll throw in a monkey wrench here and there. And I think that's what makes it human versus just a perfectly read script with no imperfection.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it depends on what type of podcast you're doing. You're interviewing somebody, or you're just doing a show. You know what I mean? It depends what you're doing, what type you're doing. And I think it's important to, if you want to do one, then do it. But just understand it takes time to do it. That's all I got to say. It's like a lot of people think it's overnight success. No, it takes forever. I'm lucky with this. So Inner Edison, I was in the top 1% of all podcasts.
It's a great name, by the way. My
wife came up with it. Yeah.
Shout out to your wife. It's a great name.
All the time. I had so many
freaking amazing.
My coach, I'm like, because I do my radio show called Real Estate Jerky. We give you something to chew on. And that's about real estate and finance. And I wanted to do something outside of that industry. And I'm like, let's talk about business, because I'm a business owner also. And then I'm like, and then Inner Edison came up and it did really well. And I took 6 months off because I got tired of people not talking about their failures. And then I came back, and I have not got it back to the same amount of downloads yet. It'll get there, but I'm just trying to say, if you're going to do it, you have to be consistently dropping the same time and day that you say you're going to do. And if you're going to do it once a week, then do it once a week, like you say. If you're going to do it once a month. If you do it weekly, then do it weekly. Don't. So I love it.
I love it. I tell people this. I love it. Same cloth right there. And I tell people that till I'm blue in the face. I'm like, no, you don't understand. If you're looking at the analytics on the back end, you can see the chart exactly when you release. If it's the same thing, like the podcast listeners are creatures of habit, period. That's it. You don't have to reverse engineer that. They'll get used to something. They're going to listen to it at the same time. They might be at the gym. You just don't want to disappoint them,
I mean, unless you're, Mr. Huberman or his people that, do podcasts, and you'll wait for them to drop another episode. That's a little different. Sure. Joe Rogan might take some time off. You're still going to come back if he doesn't drop one today. Even though that's different. That's a different person that you're waiting for those episodes to come up. Now, if you are behind on it for some reason, understand that when you go to set it for scheduling, you can schedule it backwards. Because like so I have one that I do. So I started doing tons of lives on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube when it first came out. I'm talking like, thousands and thousands of hours doing those. And the reason I did it was to get good at it. And we do one on there called Aces 53, which is it's with Brian Galke and I, and it's about business. And Aces 53 stands for something in college: attitude, commitment, enthusiasm, and smile that you bring to the table in sales. So my instructor said, remember 4 aces and a joker. So the joker is that unique ability that you have or something you learned. I had no idea I had a deep voice till I got these headphones on when I was doing on radio. I had no idea. And I've been selling for years for the phone. So now I know why.
Interesting.
So we can do aces and a joker because that was a band. So we did aces 53. So that's 53 is the first joker in the deck.
Okay, that's great.
So I'm good at naming things.
Inner Edison's genius. That's all I got to say.
My wife did that. She's much better than me.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But it's just about your failure. Your greatest accomplishments come from your greatest defeats. And that's what you have to focus on. Even when you're doing a podcast, talk to people about what your problems are and what you're doing. Yeah. Make sure you do your first episode, why you're doing it. Tell people why you're going to do it and what do you plan on doing going forward. I was lucky. I had a lot of amazing guests my first year. I'm not saying that you're not amazing. I'm just saying it just, sometimes
it all went downhill today, July 23rd, 25. It's okay, Ed. I understand.
What I mean is it's, when you're building a podcast, it's hard to get certain people on your podcast. So they get to a certain place because some people are like, I had to do another one called Helping the Brave. And I was trying to get some veteran people on that are in a big company. And they're like, what are your downloads? I'm like, it shouldn't matter when you're talking to veterans.
Yeah.
What are your downloads? That's the worst thing you say because downloads are great if you're monetizing and that's all your whole purpose. If you're using it for your business, monetizing doesn't matter to you. You're monetizing by promoting yourself and what you're doing. It's just like the radio show I do. Yes, which is a lot in our area. We have 51 to 71,000 listeners a week just for our radio show.
That's amazing. It's
not the same as downloads. It's different. It's totally different than downloads. Downloads a lot easier because you get everybody. Well, we have a lot of downloads also because we upload it afterwards as a podcast. But it takes time to build these audiences, and you have to understand that it takes a lot of time.
They're sticky though. That's the cool part. Like that's the way I look at it. Like when people get used to your voice, people get used to what you're doing. And over time, they get used to you as a person. Like sometimes you'll go, like I'll do an event or something else, and I'm covering a conference for like the second, third year in a row. And some of those people have been listening the whole time, that entire year. And they'll come up and they'll bring up things and about you or your show or something that you talked about. And you're just like, wow, that is freaking cool. like people are listening, like they care and that we're helping people, like they'll pull out a certain part in an episode and they'll be really specific and they'll talk about how it helped them. And you're just like, man, it's cool to be able to help people and to do it in something that you enjoy doing too. Like it's just a blessing.
Now you're saying you do it for conferences. What conferences do you do it for?
Oh, I've done plenty. So we cover some of the top conferences in the world. For example, the Milken Conference in Beverly Hills. I mean, that's top 2 or 3 conferences in the world. It's like $35,000 a ticket just to attend. FII Priority in Miami. That was the president did the keynote. Elon Musk's there. Like the CEO of TikTok and every major, not everyone, but many major corporations are there. Saudis are in town as well. I've been doing these for a long time. So there's a whole microcap conference, SPAC conference, you name it. There's a venture.
I don't mean to cut you off, but when you're you're doing these. All right. So I'm trying to understand. So people aren't going to know what your podcast, trying to understand what that is. So people understand how you got started in doing the conferences.
Yeah.
Where that's different than doing an interview show, just a certain genre. It's a totally different niche.
Yeah. I didn't know that though. I'll just let you know. So when it goes back to the beginning of like how this and one of my thoughts. So when you talk about things, the first one started with somebody I was just thinking like logistics wise, people offered me these booths and wanted me to come as media. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I figured it out, bought a new setup for in person, specifically for these. And this is where I kind of got the preference for this type of microphone that that I have on my head right now. Just the broadcaster style feels cool to me. I wear them pretty often. I do every different type of mic. I mean, we have and use, but I take these a lot of times to conferences because it drowns out the noise in the background. It's just easy to carry. It's easy for the guest. You're sometimes interviewing people that aren't professionals, so you don't have to worry about them being close to the mic, not close to the mic. All of that makes it pretty foolproof, so to speak. But it started from there. I was just being offered these opportunities. I didn't want to say no. And then over time, we figured out that there was a big niche there for production, essentially. So we created a broadcasting package. So we do just like a speaker goes out there and a speaker gets paid to step on stage and go and do what they do to entertain the audience. In my case, I get paid to go to conferences and to interview the VIPs, the sponsors, and to put out that content on our show. And so that's become a big piece of what we do. And so I get to travel. I'm very fortunate to get to travel to many, many really cool places doing that. And the value add is that their sponsors, their VIPs, their panelists, their speakers, they get that additional promo. And so now they have more deliverables to give to their sponsors, number one, and branding as well. So normally there'll be like a step and repeat behind me and sponsor logos, things, that kind of stuff. Number one. And then number two, now they have also evergreen content that they can share after the event. Because if you think about most conferences, what do? They film the panelists and then they put those out maybe on YouTube or maybe on some other site. But in reality, like, I don't know about you, Ed, but I never watched a panel interview in my life. Like when you're there in person, yes, because it's an experience. You're there and you're part of that energy in the room. But to me, a panel interview on YouTube, like you're not going to get too much, not too much pull out of that one. It just doesn't feel the same. So we're providing a different dynamic of content to those event organizers and conference promoters as well. So that's a big piece of what we do.
Yeah, see, what I would do with that YouTube is I would get the link to it and drop it in Cast Magic and have it transcribed and have it so I can just quickly go to the most important stuff. That's what I would do.
I love it.
Yeah, I had somebody send me their book for a podcast, and they sent it to me in PDF. So I dropped into ChatGPT and I said, "Okay, summarize this and then write it up for me to do my podcast interview." And it did, because I have different GPTs that I created for my daily shows and my podcasting. Like today, you told it I'm doing the Inner Edison Podcast. These are my guests. Yeah, and then I grab all the information, just drop it in there. Stuff that we would do personally or have somebody on our staff do that take time, which would take a couple hours to do, is done in seconds. And
you're fancy, Ed. I love it.
I do a lot, and I have to have it done. So I can just look at it over here. Like one of the things that said about books is business cards. Right, that's your thing, right?
Yeah. So we've that's a big piece. That's where we started, really, was with the first book. I mean, I handed out thousands of those things, and that's where we got our initial audience. So you're right.
The only time it's failed me is one time with a vet. It grabbed another veteran's name at the same time, and it combined two different people at the same time and in the same interview, and it was guys like that.
Hey, that's garbage in, garbage out, right? No.
Well, don't have such a standard last name. I'm just not you. I'm just talking to other.
Fair. Person. No, fair. I agree.
But I know I brought it, but it just grabs stuff that I wouldn't think about talking about, and it puts it in a nice order. So I'm used to A, B, C, and D blocks, which is you do on radio and TV. If you don't know that, I'm kind of the same way on podcasting. I'll have an A, B, C, and D block. I don't break it up with the commercials in between it, but that's just how I work it the same way.
Nah, that makes sense in terms of all of that. And I'm just impressed at the fanciness of having different GPTs for all your different shows. That's insane.
No, I don't for all my different. Well, I do have for two. My daily one is one way I want it to be done because I have a co-host, and my this podcast is just me. So I have the same one for my three different podcasts because I just tell it which podcast it is because it knows in the GPT what to do.
I got you.
Tell it in the guest, and it's just an easy way to write it up. So because on my radio, I had a agency, and then we have a producer who actually records and edits on the fly as we're recording it, or whether it's live. Yeah. And then I had the agency person who would write a script each week. And I thought it was ridiculous. They would redo the script each week, and it was a waste of time. I don't want to say waste of time, but I just didn't think it was worth it. And then with ChatGPT, I was like, let me see. Boom, done. So
even more things that, in my opinion, just make it easier for others that have the inclination to start shows, to create content, Instagram chat, whatever. It doesn't have to be a show. Start something. Like, I want people to participate in the game. I want them to get out there and share their stories, because as much as we're talking about, and maybe now some people consider, well, you're seasoned, you started in this. Maybe some people think I'm seasoned, but I feel like I'm just getting started. But the main thing is that the barrier for entry, whether it's technology, whether it's distribution, whether it's like just speed to getting good, like everything's just so much easier now than it was in the past, and it's only going to get better. So I tell people, start fumbling around now, like get your feet, get your head in the game.
Yeah, I mean, because there's stuff like Cast Magic, which is, I don't know if you know about Cast Magic, but it transcribes. You put an MP3 in it, and it will transcribe everything. It will create your titles, SEO titles. It will create your descriptions for YouTube. For I even have it for Apple. I have it broken down, and then a bunch of other stuff I have it do. Create stuff for the websites and different things like that. Also, there's Cast Magic. The other one is Opus Clips, who will cut up with AI and put B-roll and all your clips for your. You want to cut up. I found, so somebody hit me up and was like, "Oh, we do this whole system for, doing your podcasting. This is our system. We do. Well, you have your main one, and then we'll do cut up a 3 and a 5-minute one. Then we'll do 3 shorts. Blah blah blah." I'm like, "Oh, thank you so much for the formula." And so I created, that's my formula now too, and it works. But so what I'm trying to tell you is, if you're trying to get somebody on to do what you do, don't tell them everything.
Yeah, to me, there's no competition. Everybody, I want people to start. I don't care. They don't have to use what we do. Don't use what we do. I just want them to get in the game. Because what I see, at least in podcasting, there's 150 million plus YouTube channels, right? Less than 4 million podcasts. Like it's just, to me, it's a blue ocean of opportunity. And then when you think about, out of those 4 million, a couple 100,000 or whatever it is are releasing consistently every week. Like that becomes like, there's basically, if we look at the population, there's basically 0 podcasts in existence right now. Nobody's doing it. Doesn't matter how much we do. Like, as you think about it, year after year, even though podcasting, 20 plus years old, but as a form in general from the very first earliest feeds, but like things like ad attribution, dynamic ads, like in the beginning, it was all host read ads for like big shows. That's how you were monetizing. You couldn't sell like in the early days of YouTube, where you could, a small channel could be monetized. Now a small podcast can be monetized. That's relatively new. So if you think about that, like as small creators are being rewarded, even with pennies in the beginning. And if you think about other countries, like the hundreds of millions of people that are now being brought online, and the apps that are being created for like the 2G phones, 3G, all of that, like Africa, all these other places that don't use an Apple iPhone or something that has Spotify, Samsung, right? Like all of those other phones. So now you're going to have hundreds of millions of people that are now being introduced to over time, and a simpler form of creating content in that audio form version that may work very well for them. Like one day there's going to be 10 million, 20 million, 50 million, 100 million podcasts. And we'll look back at this moment and we'll be like, what? There was only 4 million back then. That's crazy. So all of that just equals more attention, that more, I won't say eyeballs. I know we're on a video one now, but I still think a podcast is audio, even though I understand there's video podcasts. We do a ton of video. I get it. But in comparison to, and when we think about where the competition is on that audio side, there might as well be no podcast. There's so few. It's only a couple million. It's nothing.
Yeah, but I mean, the audio is really, I would say, gets listened to more because people are on the go. I know somebody who listens
passive versus active,
right? But they don't really watch it. They just listen to the YouTube.
Yeah.
And now there's systems through with the Audible. Again, I said Audible, but audio is there. For small podcasts, you can get them monetized earlier. They'll add commercials into yours through and in different places automatically. Spotify automatically will be putting commercials in there if you sign up for it, so you can get money for it. Yeah. So there's so many different ways. And how I came up with that, and that just changed because there was a place that was iHeartMedia has Spreaker, looks like Spreaker, but Spreaker, and they started that, and now Libsyn's doing it. And I think
that's new. And that's my point. I'm rewarding the small creators. So now what's going to happen is that's insane. The audio and the creators that are going to come to this, because you give people an opportunity, you put even a little bit of money behind it. Like I remember on YouTube, my early days when I was like, got my first little couple pennies and I was like, what? This is insane. You give certain people that opportunity and they're going to run with it.
Yeah. So, I mean, and people are going to get used to, if they don't want commercials, they'll pay for no commercials, or you can have no commercials and have it on your website, right? If you don't,
for sure,
tell people, if you don't want to listen to commercials, go to my website, and that's where you want them to go anyway.
Yeah. There's so many wins, so many benefits.
Yeah. All right. So, what did I not ask you today that I should have asked you?
That's a good question. Let's see. I think we're pretty thorough, Ed. We got into launching shows. We got into messages. We got into how we started, how this even started. I hope that the listeners are inspired and understand that, hey, if I can do this, you can do it too. Like, this is not rocket science. Like, this is gonna, I guess if there's one parting message or thing that I would throw out there is that you're going to get better. So period, all of us are. Me, you, Ed, the people listening to this, like, they're going to get better. If you're one episode in, guess what? You're going to be better at episode 10. Guess what? If you're good at 10, you're going to be even better at 100. Just keep on going. Like, it's consistency. Like, your present day self doesn't have any right to judge your future talent, because this stuff builds, experience builds. This isn't something that you can fake when you're talking and when you're behind the mic and you're making a real connection with somebody else. You can't fake that. That's not a pretty picture on Instagram. That's not a filter. You can't put a filter on that. That's going to make you be worth listening to. One of my favorite quotes and one of the favorite things that I listened to was, was in one of Howard Stern's books. And he's talking about how the early days, and he doesn't use these words, I'm paraphrasing, but basically the early days when he was in radio and he was working in those small markets, it was a blessing that he was in those smaller markets, because during that time he was working on his craft so that he would be somebody that's worth listening to. And I mean, that's one of the greatest in media ever, period. And so for him to kind of have that perspective in hindsight, if that's what he's saying, when people tell me, hey, my show's small, it's not growing, it's this, it's that, whatever, I'm like, man, that's a blessing. Good. Keep on working on it. Keep on working on your craft. I'm doing the same, because there's many, many different levels. And with each level, it's another level of understanding that comes to the craft, whether you know what it is or not. But you're not supposed to know until you get there. And when you get there, there's going to be some more pain and some more growing. And then you're going to have to become, a bigger person and a bigger personality to then get to the next level. So many, many levels. So just enjoy the journey of it all. Like, you don't have to put all that pressure on yourself to be like every episode's good or not, or listen to this, that. No, don't do that. Fall in love with the craft, and more so think of it like a sport. You're just going to practice. Go shoot. You got, to me, doing another episode, that's another free throw. That's another layup. That's another, that's the way I'm looking at it. So I missed that shot. Oh, I probably missed an interview this morning where I was like, that one wasn't that wasn't my best one. I did that today. I'll do that again tomorrow. It's okay, because guess what? As long as I'm, God willing, walking the planet, I'm healthy, I'm coherent. Like, I get to keep playing this game, and that's a blessing. So that would be what I would say.
Okay. I get a lot of people ask, because now that we're all video, when we first started, we weren't video, so you could move in your chair, you could do anything. Yeah. People ask me how I'm so still in my chair where I don't move, and I'm like a duck. My feet are all over the place. My hand, you can't see my hands; they're twiddling. They're going around my coffee cup. Is there anything you do differently? Because I know somebody else have one of those twiddler things underneath. Is there anything?
On my end, it's just flow. It's just the flow of what I'm usually wearing. It's what I'm wearing, actually. So when I host my shows, I'm normally business dress, and that just brings out a different personality. I'm not quite as loose. It's a little bit of a different feel and format. When I go on other people's shows, I intentionally don't wear a suit and tie, because I wanna give my audience a different Adam that they get to see. That's just more so like they're hanging out with their buddy. Versus when you look at my show, I've been told that I'm kind of like a cartoon character or a character. Like I had people that knew me for years. Like I said, I just started guesting this year. So I had people that knew me for years that have never, they only see me at like conferences or in like when I'm on stage or doing very professional settings, and they literally never see me not in a suit. So they're like, so when they started seeing this content, they were like, I get some emails or stuff like that. They'd be like, Adam, I don't know. It's just, it doesn't seem like you. You seem a lot nicer. But to me, it's what I wear specifically. That's what dictates. Like this, I'm okay with moving around. I don't care. Not in a bad way, but I'm okay with it because this is my loose. And the other one, you put on a suit and tie. Maybe it's the noose around my neck, aka the tie, but I'm just stiff then.
Yeah, see, I gave up the suits and ties years ago. I wear a t-shirt. Even when I'm on stage, I wear a t-shirt.
Lucky, Ed. Lucky.
Well, I don't do what you do. You're in a different conference, different levels.
Yeah.
But for most of the stuff I do, it's they don't want that in the, the other people in the audience, small mastermind. They don't want to have other people in suit and tie unless that's what your brand is. My brand is not that. I'm a vet.
Yeah.
I do a lot of stuff for veterans. And so that's how I just dress this way. I'm more comfortable this way.
That's awesome. Yeah. And just throwing that out there, when I say lucky, I thought when I left my finance, I thought that I was done with the suit and tie, and I used to brag about it. And I was like, I'm done, never putting on a suit and tie. And I literally got rid of them. I had full closets full of suits, and just because that's what I did for 14 years, right? So I thought that I was done with it. And then I told you earlier in the show, which it was not hyperbole, I did over 1,500 interviews without any video. So I was dressed in plain clothes, and then once we decided, they made the decision that we were going to add video to the show. Begrudgingly, we added video, not on my part. The other co-founder and the rest of the team, they're like, this is getting ridiculous. We got to add video, like we're falling behind, for at least what we were doing, I should say. And our clients wanted it. So for that content, they didn't want just audio. So we were like, literally, it was costing us money not to do video. So when we finally did it, they just kind of looked at me, and I already knew. I'm like, yeah, I know it's going to be suit and tie. It's fine. I get it. I'm back to suit and tie. Thank you.
Well, that's like early days of my radio. In order to have a video, we'd have to have a guy come in with cameras and pay another dollar amount. Where now you can do it with, I have really nice cameras all over the studio for different places, and it's so much easier with StreamYard and Squadcast. And because I was using Squadcast before video, I started. Video came about 21 21, I think it was, when video started. With these types of I know people had on. I don't like Zoom. Zoom just is not. Zoom is AM versus this is FM. If you understand, stereo
for sure,
non-stereo. And the problem when you're doing these, which a lot of people don't understand, is you need to have the upload speed at the proper speed, and most people don't, and that's why they use Zoom. So if you have Comcast cable or any cable system, you're not going to have enough upload. Upload is 26 to 40. You have to have, you have to check into that, because I did not. As this stuff evolved over the last 3 to 4 years, we were like, what's the problem? I have a 900 download. You find it's the upload that matters, not the download when you're doing video. Yeah.
And I'm going to say this for the newbies out there, and I keep on saying this, but it's because it's true, Ed. You're fancy, you're a professional. But for the newbies out there, everything that Ed said is correct. But I will throw this out there. I did hundreds and hundreds of episodes on my cell phone, and we grew an audience from that. So I still recommend people record versus now. I did it on a simple audio app, and actually recently, this was late last year, I found myself on the road, and I do not like to cancel or reschedule interviews. I mean, that's the worst to me. If somebody's waiting a couple months or whatever the time frame is to come on a show, and I have to cancel because of a plane or something like that, it's rough for me. So the funniest place that I've done an interview recently, and this was on my phone, was from a truck stop. Like I was literally driving from somewhere else, and I'm like, no, I'm not rescheduling on these individuals. They deserve better. So pulled over, truck stop, on my phone, old school recording app, and here we go, and banged out 3 interviews over the course of a couple hours, and that was that. So even if you're not fancy like Ed and you don't have great software, like I say, just get it done one way or another. But everything everything you said is right, Ed, but I'm just throwing that out there. I'll record another one on audio tomorrow. I don't care.
Yeah, but the problem you run into is when you promote it and you put it up there and then someone's listening to it, they want to listen to good quality.
I agree with that.
And the systems we use today will record on each side in case there is an issue. However, what the problem is you have to understand that you just keep talking through those issues, but you don't know that, and it messes up the whole thing, because eventually it'll be fine, but you have to understand that. So I understand what you're saying, but I know that as these things evolve more and more, the more people want quality. They want quality, audio to listen to. They don't want to hear one person with this type of, and then another person's sounding like it's echoing and everything else. Like I had to jump on earlier before we did this one. I'm like, okay, can you get close to your mic? Oh, what is this? That's why just like you, I wear headphones for a reason. I want to hear how the audio is going to come out to see how much editing will need to be done.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, yeah, definitely. And
I understand there's occasional stuff. I get that.
Yeah. It's not but I don't know. I just throw it out there though. But I'm still the fan of your audio. And you're right. There are some people that are like, even if you have some people have very sensitive ears. And you're right. Like some people, if that audio is not perfect, even if they have a little tick or like something else or something, they could feel it. Like some people are like that. But for the mass, for me, I'm like, what's going to kill a show from growing more so than having a couple episodes that don't have the best audio is going to be not consistently releasing. That's what's going to kill the show. To me.
Yes, I agree with that, but also audio will matter. So you should have enough. So before you start your podcast, record about 10 so that you have enough to where you're recording. I mean, I'm lucky with this podcast. I probably have 35 ready to go. Plus I'm already booked out until January. Yeah.
Did you say you're booked till January? That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
And when you talked about hating to cancel, if something comes up, I will contact them personally on the phone and go, okay, what other days can we do this? So that, because I don't want you to try to get back in the schedule because you're going to be out 6 months.
I hate it. That's the worst. I feel bad. Yeah.
I feel bad when people go, I'm going on your calendar and there's nothing. I'm like, keep going.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's great to have, but again, it's just and I'm at the point where I might have to start going daily.
Oh,
I mean, just because of what I have recorded already and what we have, and just in that. So right now, my plan is I have a whole team of VAs. And my goal, I have a plan that I've been trying to figure out the last week how I'm going to do this going forward, because I was using them to do all this other stuff. I'm like, no, I need to use you to do this stuff, and I'll take the other stuff over until I figure out what else I'm going to do. So eventually you will need to give it up and have a team to take care of it for you.
I totally agree. And that's funny that's originally we didn't plan on. So exactly what you're talking about, like there was no plan for me to do all these interviews. Like that wasn't the original plan. We started with, one a week, then it went to daily, then it went to, at some point we had a backlog like you're talking about. And I think it was like off the top of my head, there was like 70 in the can. And my team's like, what are we going to do? And I'm like, well, we can't like invite somebody on and I'm be like, okay, your episode's going to be released in 6 months. They're not even going to remember being on the show. So what I did, and I do not recommend this to you, Ed, not that you would take it as a recommendation, but for anybody else listening, I'm not saying that this is the way to do it. I'm just saying that this was our particular experience. So what we did was I was just like, just release them all. And they're like, what? And I'm like, release them all. They're like, when? I said today. And so we released like a crazy amount of interviews. It might have taken them 2 days logistically to get it like all released. So let's say it took 2 days. And what we noticed, and again, I don't recommend this to anyone else, but this was our numbers, our per episode download went up. And that wasn't supposed to happen when I think about things like Instagram, where if you release a ton of Instagram posts in one day, then what's going to happen is immediately you're going to lose your traction because people are either going to get tired of it or the algorithm's going to think you're spamming them or something's going to happen, right? Period. But your per post is not going to go up. It's not like you're going to gain momentum by releasing a ton of content. For us, our experience was it did go up. And so I was like, that's interesting. And so then from that moment on, I just kept on like just trying to operate at full capacity as much as we could as we were scaling and growing the systems. And I couldn't really outpace what was happening, because even at the max of 70 released a week, we are a little bit more than that, but average was 70. So it just depends. Some weeks could be 50, some weeks could be 80. It would fluctuate. But looking at that, it was like, okay. And then over time, we ended up, and that was on the first show. That was our Money Matters Top Tip show. And then over time, when we rebranded, relaunched, did all this other stuff, whole nother conversation. But then we segmented the shows. And so now for that particular brand, I host 8 different shows, and they're all segmented so that the interviews go appropriate on the right channel. So the tech show goes on the tech show, right? Like the tech interview, is going to go on the tech show. The startup interview is going to go on that. The business one's going to go on that podcast. So then they're all segmented so that it has some type of more cohesive experience for the listener. But when you say you have that backlog, I love it, man, because that means like you got demand. Demand is a beautiful thing. That's a good problem to have.
Well, and I record 2 a week for just that show. So that's 110 a year.
Yeah.
Just regularly. And I'm backed up the way I'm backed up. So that tells you I have a bunch. But I was looking at, so I have 3, Helping the Brave, Inner Edison, and ACES 3 in my question. I was at the point where should I give one up? And I don't want to. I enjoy, besides my Real Estate Jerky radio show, I enjoy talking to people. And I'm trying to explain to somebody, it's not the podcasting part. That's only about a half hour or whatever. It's not a big deal. I'm like, it's a lunch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't eat lunch. So what's the difference? I don't want to give that up, but what I want to give up is the rest of the stuff that needs to be done the right way and have it done properly. And that's how you grow. Just like I just did a thing, a friend of mine passed away. I don't know if you know Steve Sims was, and everybody was posting how much he did for them, over what he did. And I was like, you know what? Everybody's posting all this stuff about people when they pass away, but they don't tell them now. So I started a series called Tell Them Today. I've been dropping it on Instagram, not video, just a little statement, the backdrop. I'm amazed how much that has taken off, because everybody's like, you got to do video, you got to do this, you got to do reels, you got to do that. No, you just got to do something.
That's the quote for today. You just got to do something.
Sorry. And the real quote today is go tell somebody how much they mean to you, because they might not be here tomorrow for you to tell them.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah. And someone else says, well, Ed, everybody deals, it's like death and taxes. Everybody deals with it. So that's why I'm like, I can see that. But it was one of those things that was like, you know what? I'm tired of seeing people post about this. And also I saw some self-serving posts, if you understand what I mean by that.
Sure.
And I'm like, okay, that's just wrong. Just go tell somebody what they mean to you today. So what I'm getting at is consistency, like you said. Just doing it. You do something and do a consistency. Have the consistency to do it when you say you're going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Adam, it was nice having you on the show today and getting to know you. I know we could keep going, but I'll have you come back and we'll talk about some other stuff in a few months. Sound good? Hey,
Ed, you rock, man. Thank you. And to the Inner Edison audience, man, really appreciate you turning in. So thank you.
And that's a wrap for today's episode, the Inner Edison Podcast. I want to thank Adam Torres for sharing his journey and insights, and I hope they've inspired you to take action, stay consistent, and embrace the hard work behind every successful podcast. Remember, your greatest confidence comes from overcoming your greatest defeats. Until next time, keep pushing forward.